Hi, you're with Christine and Ask Your Angels, and tonight Michelle DeRoche is back from Canada's Most Haunted. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure.
You brought good weather tonight.
No tornadoes. That's always a good thing.
So you've been super busy. I'm so glad you came on the show because I know how busy you've been. Your ghost tours are like book solid. You want to tell us a little bit about what you've been up to since you've been on the show?
Wow. Well, of course, since I've been on the show, we've come into our Halloween season, and the fall is always the busiest for us. So we do a lot of, special events, special appearances. We've done Casa Loma, had 2 sold-out nights there, and we've done the Toronto Star. We've done a couple of television shows, and the tours, of course, Burlington Ghost Walks. Finishing up our 10th year. And it's nice that we're going out.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So going out with a bang, which is great. We have another couple of weeks to go, and then I can have some downtime. And every time I say that, of course, I have filmed, like paranormal shows, literally like a week before Christmas, and it's happened to me, 3 or 4 different years. So
Can you tell us about some of the shows you've done?
Actually, one show, it's brand new. It's called Start Something Big, and
it's a ghost show.
No, actually, we do a lot of shows that actually aren't ghost shows. Funny enough, but this is based on businesses that are something you might actually be interested. Businesses that are unusual and become very successful. So we filmed it at Casa Loma, and it was aired on Rogers TV back at the end of October. And of course I'm my own worst critic, so I always tend to keep very quiet about things until I actually see them, and then I make the decision from there as to whether I want to just pump it out or promote it. But I'm told it was very good.
Oh, you haven't actually seen it yet?
No, I have not. I have American television, so I don't actually get to see a lot of the Canadian shows that we do. So
they don't send you a tape.
They do eventually. Yeah, eventually they find their way to me. So hopefully, I'm told it's a great show. I'm told we did very well. So we'll see.
Is that something we'd be able to watch?
Yeah, well, it's on Rogers TV, so I imagine if you have Rogers television, you'll be able to get it. They're apparently going to be posting some of the episodes to the website. It has not happened yet, so
Rogers.
Rogers Television.
So when your video comes in, you call me and I'll come over and watch it. I'll bring popcorn.
Oh my goodness, yeah, absolutely.
I'm with Belle.
Well, unfortunately, Belle definitely didn't have it. So.
Oh, Belle's loss.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I say.
So here's a question: are ghosts real?
It depends who you're asking. Since you're asking me. Yeah, I definitely believe ghosts are real. At least, spirit energy of sorts. There's a theory that we tend to leave imprints of ourselves everywhere we go because we're made up of energy, and everything around us is made up of energy. Judging by some of the things we've captured in regards to spirits, photographs, voice recordings, we have voices that are actually answering us. We're asking questions, and they're what we call an intelligent haunting. They're actually answering the question.
So that couldn't just be an imprint then. That must be a spirit that's in this world or visiting.
Absolutely, because we do have recordings which are residual energy, which is just things that keep playing back, or leftover sounds that don't seem to be any rhyme or reason as to why they're there. We've had spirits mimicking some of the things that, our researchers have said. We've had them answering our questions intelligently. So yeah, I definitely think that they're out there. We've gotten, some stuff on video, so it definitely raises the question as far as whether they're actually there or not, and why are they there. And definitely warrants further research. It's what paranormal is all about. It's just continuing to try to figure it all out, things that can't be explained.
And do you think it's more that if there are ghosts here, they're trapped here, or it's because they want to be here, maybe unfinished business, or they're trying to reach somebody?
I think they come around for different reasons, again, it's all hypothetical at this point. I don't think we'll ever really definitively have any answers. But I mean, spirits on an average can be here because they are trapped. Maybe they just love the place so much that they choose to remain there. Maybe they're afraid to cross over, so they always kind of wait
I've
behind.
heard that.
Yeah,
Some are worried about Judgment Day, so to speak, or what they've been told maybe by the church or...
Well, I think it goes based on your religion, the Christians tend to put the fear of God into people, but it was a good way of controlling the masses too back in the day, having some sort of rules and regulations and law. But realistically, yeah, I mean, if you commit suicide, they were in the mindset that, you weren't allowed, you couldn't cross over because you took your life and it wasn't your right to take your life. It was God's right. Therefore, you're lost in limbo. I don't personally believe that. I've connected with a lot of suicides.
I hear that actually what happens is they come back in their next life, but their next life is even harder. That's what I've heard.
Possibly, yeah.
But I have never heard that they are not welcome in heaven ever.
No.
I don't believe that myself.
Well, if God is all merciful, you know what I mean, and forgives all, I can't ever see that being an issue.
And if we keep coming back to right wrongs, then it's. I mean, personally, I think even someone who may be murdered in this life would still have to come back. And try again to,
I think you have
to get to
free
a place
choice.
where,
I think you come back if you want to come back. Some do come back because they need to, but I believe that you come back because you want to, to get yourself to that higher level, to wherever it is you're supposed to go within, the 7 levels, as they say. Then you have your spirits who die suddenly, murders or car accidents, who don't realize that perhaps they're passed on and they need to be told.
Helped, maybe.
Absolutely, like you're dead. Maybe they're waiting behind for somebody else.
I've heard that.
Yeah, it's quite sad when you have that. We've seen that actually with children waiting for a parent, and vice versa, and sometimes they actually never ever meet in the afterlife.
Was it you who told me, and it might not have been you, but someone told me a story, and I don't know if we discussed it before here, but there was this old couple that were so in love and they did everything together, and both of them ended up in hospital. Or I think the man was visiting his wife and his wife was hanging on, and she basically said, no, I have to wait for him. And then what happened is I think he had a heart attack or something, and he ended up in hospital, and as soon as he died, she passed on. It was like they were waiting for each other, kind of thing.
I believe that there are definitely situations like that. You hear of it, every now and then, where a spouse dies and within a month or 2 months the other spouse dies. I look like my grandmother who hung like 25 years and still wouldn't let my grandfather come and get her when she died. Just like, no. So, you get those who just, well, I'm thinking there might have been some issues there, but yeah. But on that note, yeah, I think, you do get those who just follow suit. Maybe they're with the twin soul. I've always, there's so many theories with that as well, but I don't believe that our other self, our twin soul, as most people would think, soulmates, but the twin soul, I don't know necessarily that we're supposed to be here at the same time because of the fact that I don't think that we could really survive that person's passing. The trauma of it, and maybe every now and then that's what happens with these people who pass, either together or literally so close apart.
That they just can't deal with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like that because I'm a born romantic. So.
Oh, there you go.
So I actually went on the Burlington Ghost Walks with you. It was very rainy. I actually got rained out. I was a big sock and I went home. So I can't say too much. It was exciting. I loved the history. Patrick was with us. Boy, does he know his stuff.
He does.
He's incredible. I think Patrick might even be calling in tonight. But a lot of the things that I've seen on your website and on Facebook is a lot of people have taken photos with orbs. Can you maybe let our viewers know a little bit about orbs?
Orbs tend to be a little bit controversial in the paranormal world. Not that, there isn't an occasional occurrence where you will get this actual spirit orb, which is like a ball of energy. But so many things scientifically can portray an orb. Dust, pollen, moisture, dander, dirt, just particles. Even insects sometimes, if the camera lens and the lighting just catches it at the right angle, it will actually, look like a globe of light.
It's pretty amazing because little particle of dust,
Yeah.
but it actually comes out like a big circle. And the ones I've seen, they almost have a pattern to them.
Mm-hmm. Well, some of them will have a ring structure, and then some of them actually have faces, or people believe they see faces. And again, I won't say that no 100% they're never a spirit. There are many times where they are, but most times they can very easily be explained away.
I have a story that I found on the internet. It's there was years and years ago, there was this man who was actually having a fight with his fiancée. Took off on his horse, so he left her, ran off on his horse. The horse was going way too fast, and all of a sudden what happened was, I guess it threw him, he hit it. I think what happened was he hit at the top of the tree, the low branches, and they found him the next day. It was winter. Face down in the snow, had a big gash on his head, and they ended up burying him in the cemetery. So the story starts off where there's this man who's visiting Wilmington, South Carolina, and he goes on a ghost tour. He says, hey, this is going to be fun, drags his sister with him, and when they're in the cemetery looking over at the church, he saw a blue orb. And he didn't associate it with anything paranormal because he didn't really understand all of that. He just thought, wow, why is that blue orb or that blue light in the church? And he just kept looking at it. And he ended up finding out about that story of this guy that was buried in the cemetery. And what happened is that after he was buried, he had a friend, Alexander. This guy's name was Sam. His friend Alexander was asleep in his bed and saw Sam at the foot of his bed. And Sam said, dig me up. And of course, Alexander was scared to death, but he did. He went and he started digging, and he dug up the grave. And when he opened the coffin, Sam was face down. He flipped him over and noticed his fingernails were stuck in the boards. He was in a coma. He wasn't dead. They had buried him alive. He wanted people to know. So that's how. So anyway, the man who went on the tour in Wilmington looked up blue orb because it was blue, and it was something like it represented, what was it? No, I don't remember. It represented something about the fact that he was face down and it was shy and. Oh well, so much for that story. But it fit.
I've captured blue orbs before.
What do they represent? Like apparently there's something where different colors represent different things.
I don't know. Some people say it represents mood, auras. It's hard to say. There are researchers out there who will almost exclusively just research. I've met at least two.
And just do nothing but researching auras?
These colored ones. Researching the stories, maybe of the areas where they've been taken. And I've caught myself like probably one or two blue ones, a couple of purples, bright pink, like bright yellow. It's pretty neat. But again, you don't know. Like, is it the camera lens catching the light just right? From a scientific standpoint, it's tough because having mediumship abilities myself, I've always been raised to. Follow my instinct and know what I'm feeling and what my mind's eye sees. But, doing research, you have to, it's a real fine line, and you have to take that step back and look at things logically as well. At least if you want to try to have a little bit of, be a little bit reputable, you have to definitely, take that angle. And I have to say that I've enjoyed the scientific part of it. I never thought I would. When I first started, I really didn't. I really didn't have a lot of use for it, only because of the fact that my mind's eye, would open. I would just see and feel things, and I would just rely on it because I have had my whole life. And you're communicating with something, and you're quite comfortable in knowing what it is. But, I had to learn that, well, I can't expect everybody to just take my word for that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, try to validate my findings or disprove my findings. I mean, it wouldn't be the first time I've disproved things that I thought were, you know,
I
paranormal.
think that's most people. Well, I guess a lot of people would automatically just freak out and get scared, but I mean, myself, I've had a lot of supernatural experiences.
Mhm.
For me, logic always takes over. It's always, oh, well, it must be this or it must be that until I disprove it,
Yeah.
which I have. So
Right. There you go. There you go.
and that's pretty great. If you can do that and then be able to disprove it, it makes it that much more
You go through the
exciting.
process of elimination, right?
Mhm.
And whatever's left is what you have to work with.
Exactly.
So, has to be done.
So if someone wanted to go out, like let's say some of our viewers decide to go out ghost hunting tonight, what would they take with them other than a flashlight?
Ghost hunting. Such a term. I don't
I'm
like.
sorry. Okay, what should we call it?
Just pegging them off. You know what? Spirit research, you know, or just go, I mean, some people call it tracking is even a little bit easier to take. But
Paranormal research. Is that good?
yeah,
That's a good one.
That's good. That's good. I know it's tough to get away from ghost busting or ghost hunting because there's so much like media has just kind of flooded that into our psyche, basically. But
Well, I think too, you have that urge to go out with your friends, get drunk, go look for
put your proton
ghosts,
pack on
and put the Ghostbuster song in the background. You know.
Yep. Hey, I even used to have a personalized plate, and I had to remove it because people kept
It's a
trying to steal it.
Ghostbuster.
No, it actually said haunted one, and people. I mean, I've had it. People try to steal it 3 times.
Maybe it's a ghost.
Yeah, I don't know. I caught one guy red-handed. He looked pretty ghostly to me, so I just kind of switched the alarm on when he was sitting there trying to pry it off the car. So anyway,
People are nervy. You were in the car?
No, I was walking up to the car and I said, "Do you need a hand?" And he just kind of goes, "Yeah." He'd been drinking, so I just kind of beep beep, and locked the car. And he just went, "Oh, really?" And I'm like,
Busted.
"Yeah, busted." Sorry, guy. I had another person just like, I don't know, they must have really hurt themselves. There was blood all over the side of the car. And I'm thinking, all this effort for a license plate. Really?
Ew.
Yeah, I finally took it off just to save damage to the car because at one point I
What
did
about
get
the
some
people
damage.
that are bleeding? No concern for them.
I
It's
don't. If
really
you're
all
trying
about
to
the
rip
car.
off my plate to damage my car, every man for himself, buddy, So been there, done it, got the bumper sticker, got rid of the plate. But I think, we always encourage people when they're going to go out looking for spirits, first of all, like, please, please, please stay out of places that are abandoned and off limits to you. I mean, so many people assume because a place is boarded up, oh, it's got to be haunted. No, many times it's not, And
University of Toronto building, a woman fell off 3 floors and died.
Yes, a couple years back.
Spirit tracking.
Spirit tracking, yes. Well, yeah, because people don't always think, and they'll drink a lot of times before they go, which impairs your judgment. They don't wear,
That guy's going.
Yeah,
That'd be me.
I've done it. So,
I think
been there,
wouldn't
done
it be
it.
a natural thing to want to drink because just to get the nerve up to go out? In
Maybe.
case you do meet one?
Some people find it completely relaxes them, especially as a
mean,
medium
actually,
too. It does
I
it.
mean, come on, we are. Cheers.
I know, cheers. I'm
Okay.
totally up for drinking anytime, but
Oh, we should not promote drinking on this show.
we will not
It's
promote
it's
drinking.
grape
Do not
juice.
do this.
It's grape. Grape
It's great.
juice? Yeah.
Okay, we'll go with
Well,
that.
this is Welch's, right?
I'll go with that. It's delicious.
Do you ever come across ghost animals?
Yes, actually, yes. I had a woman one time send me a photograph of a horse. And what was unusual about it, I mean, it was, well, mind you, it was the spirit of her grandfather, which was kind of like imprinted on.
On the horse?
Well, yeah, because I guess it was his favorite horse or something. So it was just,
Oh.
I don't know, it was just weird with how they just kind of melded together. But yeah, I've gotten one of those. Gotten photographs of deer. I mean,
a lot of deer go. That would be a shock because
yeah,
deer in the headlights going real quick.
exactly.
Not to be funny, but I'm saying
It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. And I've been to locations where I've had the sensation of like a cat rubbing up against my leg. Quick story. My sister, her cat had to be put down. It was ill. And this cat was really smart. I mean, it could turn on lights, open doors, and it somehow knew how to pull open the bottom drawer of her dresser. and she would sleep in it. So when the cat had passed, of course, like my sister was devastated, and sometime within the next few days, she could hear a bell. And again, thinking it was just my imagination because I'm really distraught. But she woke up one morning and the door was pulled open with an indentation in it.
Oh.
So yeah, personal story there. But yeah, definitely.
That's a great story.
It is a great story. It really brought her a lot of peace. A little bit of guilt because she put the cat down because of that. She's thinking, oh my God.
Well, that's his way of saying it's okay, and I'm still with you. And
yeah.
So, what do you call a ghost chicken?
Do I want to know?
It's a poultrygeist.
A poultrygeist, okay. I never would have got that one. That's good. I'm going to use that one.
I can't take credit for that.
I will use that one, actually. That's pretty comical.
What is a dowsing rod?
Dowsing rods basically have been used for like years and years and years and years, decades and decades, and they're used basically to find water sources. And you can make them out of coat hangers, or you can, buy them. I actually have a pair. I personally don't use them, but when we do our special events, we like to kind of show everything that's out there. And there are a lot of old-fashioned people out there who research, who swear by them. And basically,
is this where they walk around like this with a?
Well, these rods, whenever you hit like water or spirit energy, they will actually cross over each other.
Oh, well, yes. How do you know if it's water or a spirit? Then?
Well, I mean, if you're out looking for water, right, like they'll cross. If you're out looking for a spirit and you're walking into a cold spot, for example, like I've seen them used. They're not personally my tool of choice. I'm a bit skeptical about them, but then I am with some things just because you have to hold them and balance them just right in your hands. And I mean, it could look like you are just moving them. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I'm funny that way. Maybe if I tried them myself and saw them going, but I'm more of a techie kind of gal. I just like my blinky talky things. So
your blinky. Well, tell us about your blinky talky things.
Well, I do have some pieces that do actually speak. They're EMF detectors, so they do measure the electromagnetic field. And whereas some detectors will just blink or make all kinds of racket, these will speak. One is called the Ovilus. I have the entire series of them from the time that it first came out right to the last one. I really love the series. I love the product, and they're made by a company called Digital Dowsing out of the U.S. He does not ship to Canada at all. But what's great about it is we've had a lot of success with them. They have like a 2,000 word vocabulary, and the last time I used them, actually, we did the Toronto Star article, and it was picking up on. Ooh, technical.
That was a ghost.
We were doing the Toronto Star article. We were in the stables, and all of a sudden it started saying, children quarantine up. So I said, were the children sick? It said yes. And
so this is a spirit coming through.
Something came through, yeah. Was it residual? It answered me when I said, were the children sick? It said yes. So we found out around the time that the castle had been inhabited, that what could put somebody in quarantine would be influenza, most likely, cholera. But they were sick upstairs and they had been quarantined. But over 60,000 people died of influenza in 1919 in Toronto. And that was the time that the castle was inhabited. They were living in it. It was fully functional. So I thought, well, that's kind of interesting. So I've had a lot of success with this thing, just blurting things out. And then of course,
is this the box you were talking about last time?
No,
here? That's totally different.
Totally different. We do have the ghost box. People know the telephone to the dead. It's an item that was basically done by Thomas Edison. He invented it. He wanted to do a device where he can communicate with his
telephone.
Mother.
Wasn't enough.
Well, you couldn't get to the other side with it the way it was. So he decided he was going to devise something. But when he passed away...
Oh, I'm sorry. That was an accident.
That was a grope. No.
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but just when you mentioned the other side, why did the ghost cross the road? It's so easy. Okay, to get to the other side. Okay, go ahead.
I thought so, but I thought this has got to be too easy of an answer.
And,
so.
and I'm just going to say, for anyone who's just joined us.
Angels Talk Show. We're here with Michelle DeRoche from Canada's Most Haunted and Burlington Ghost Tours. It's Michelle's second time on our show, and we are talking about paranormal activity. So if you want to share a paranormal experience with us, please call 1-855-276-1717, extension 4. You should see the number on your screen. And I'm sorry, go right ahead. And I didn't mean to poke you. I have no idea.
Okay, the ghost box.
Oh, yes. Okay.
So once, of course, Thomas Edison passed away, for 100 years, the plans kind of they were lost until a gentleman named Frank Sutton, who was a shortwave radio enthusiast, started hearing voices coming through his radio telling him on how to build the box. So he basically ignored them for like 2 years. Frank was a bit of a, just regular, simple guy, wanted to be left alone.
Does he think it was Thomas Edison? Is that the belief that maybe it was him?
I don't think he really got who it was. The voices told him to build it. He finally built it. And the original box went to my friend Christopher Moon, owner of Haunted Times magazine. And he has the original box, and he does spirit readings with it. I get read regularly.
You're going Friday?
I will be having another reading Friday. So I get them all the time because they're very, very accurate. And
so he must be good for people who want to contact maybe someone from the other side.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what? A lot of people are really funny when it comes to the ghost box. Some people believe it. Some people don't believe it. I can tell you from my personal experience in using it in research that it has come through for me. Mm-hmm. And in my readings with Chris, it has come through for me. And I realized that I always knew it, but it was validated when I went to Lilydale this past summer, and I sat with a woman who did spirit paintings, and she basically started painting the people who I already knew who were coming through my readings, and 2 or 3 of these people are past life people who were coming through, and she nailed them and painted them. And I had another reading with Chris about 2 weeks after I'd come back from Lilydale, and she had picked up and she started painting a couple of people as well in my surroundings, and didn't he pick it up? So the readings just kind of kept bouncing off each other, kept validating each other. You know what I mean?
That's why it's good to actually, if you're going for a reading, to go to more than one psychic.
Well, I mean, even my grandfather, you picked up my grandfather. I mean, when I did a reading with you, he was practically sitting on the table. Yeah. That cold spot, I could see
very protective.
Yes, but he's talkative, right? I mean, we couldn't shake him for a while there. So, it's just, the ghost box has really pulled through in that respect. And I had one made for me. A lot of people will buy the small, you can just convert transistor radios. They just keep kind of going through the different channels, and those are the most popular ones, and they're the more reasonably priced ones.
What about a Pringles can? They're saying you can make that into a speaker now. Will that work? I'm thinking of a cheap way to do this. Pringles.
You want to try? We can try. Yeah, we can try.
It's just an excuse to eat the chips. Come on.
Eat the chips. Find out what you can do with the can. But yeah, so anyway, I had one made up for me, and I can basically, very sensitive. It's got a lot of little buttons on it. You can really tone down, if you hit the right channel, you can just really hit on one and just keep bringing them through.
Now, I've asked you before if you'd be willing to bring this on the show, but you're worried something might be left at my house, right?
Yeah, you need to understand when you're offering up communication of any sort, whether it's a Ouija board, whether it's a pendulum, whether it's a tape recorder, any time you offer up communicating, I think you stand the chance of opening up the door. I'm happy to do it if you like. I mean, I've done it even...
I don't mind if you take them home with you after.
Makes you think I want them all.
Well, hey, let's see. Three chihuahuas. How many cats? Four chihuahuas. How many cats?
3 dogs.
So what's a ghost or 2? You're
not
going to know.
Ghosts.
Oh, you have those too.
You know what? I was having my house cleared like every 2 weeks.
Really? Oh,
yeah,
is this because they follow you home from all the places you go?
Yeah.
So who do you have right now?
I just had the house cleared, so we're good.
Who did you have?
Yeah. I get some meanies that kind of come around. My daughter's got a real knack for attracting them as well. And, you know, she's 20 now, but I mean, we're very dramatic. When you're very dramatic and a female, you tend to attract a lot of, you know, strong negative energies that come in and try to take advantage of that. Because every single time I get the reading done, that's what comes up. Oh, you've got one of these guys. I'm like, okay. We cleared it. The woman who does my clearings does them remotely, and she is truly an angel, because she has cleared probably about 15 or 16 out of 17 homes for me. There's only one she's not been able to do because it was so severe, but she's been able to really calm it down. That, I mean, she's been able to clear so many, and every now and then, you know, one of them tries to sneak back in, and as long as we stay on top of it, bang, we can just get them back out. And there's never a guarantee with clearings. So it's very, very interesting, you know, to me that she's been able to successfully do it.
Here's the question. You've mentioned if someone, let's say someone's very negative or has a lot of bad things happening in their life, and they're going through a very dark stage in their life, will that kind of person attract evils, you know, entities without actually opening the door? Like, will they just come in? You're vulnerable at that stage? You
know, I'm a firm believer in the law of attraction, and I believe you get what you get back what you put out. If you are projecting a lot of negativity,
anger,
I think you're going to attract people like that. You're going to attract situations like that, and there are a lot of spirit beings out there or entities that, I mean, they're there, whether people want to believe it or not. They're there. There's a whole other world that exists out there.
And if you're already a person with a gift, like I'm thinking of a friend of mine, definitely has a gift, I know, and has connected with good spirits from the other side as well. But there was an incident where, to me, it was not a good spirit, that something had gone through him. I mean, he actually was very physically sick, and it was green, and after that he felt more at peace. And I tend to, but he felt like something was very cold and in the room.
Well, I think you would know that, so I'm just going to adjust. For all my fans out there. Kidding.
Oh, well, that should get our numbers up. Did the numbers go up?
It's the wine. I just, you know, girls just want to do their own thing.
You know what? We do what we can for all of our viewers.
I think that, you know, in respects to that, like I say, they're out there, you know, and if you are going to attract something like that, and especially if you're playing around with things, or sometimes people just go to haunted areas, and there's just something about you that the spirit is attracted to.
That's what I'm thinking in this case.
Yeah, and you know what? Spirits can channel you. You know, they can jump into you. You know, I mean, it doesn't happen a lot. I mean, you know, to my knowledge, I've never heard of a whole lot of stories of that happening. You know, I mean, even full-blown possession. I mean, I've dealt with a lot of demonic cases, and I think twice out of all the ones I've done, I've encountered what was like, you know, looked very clearly like possession. I'm not talking exorcist, your head spinning around. And,
you know, I never saw that movie.
Oh, it's a crazy movie. It set the basis. Every time I went into a really bad haunting when I first got started, I'm like, oh, what am I going to expect? You know, the flies, all this crazy stuff.
Wasn't that Amityville Horror?
Yeah, that too.
The flies and the pigs.
Yeah. It was crazy. I've never seen anything extreme like that, but I had one case where a woman, this woman here, I mean, she was like 150, 160 pound woman, worked out every day, never smoked, really fit, mother of two, played with a pendulum one night trying to contact her mom who had passed, and something else came in, and she ended up, I mean, she dropped something like within 2 months she was down like 30, 40 pounds.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you have a pendulum in the house?
Should I have brought one?
I'm just saying.
FYI. But yeah.
Because I know you're not afraid of these entities. I've heard you pretty well kick their ass. So
I think I do.
I'm thinking under your supervision, I bring one in, I drop all the weight, and then you get rid of it.
Oh yeah, not always that easy. I can work with you on that.
You'd get a lot of calls if that would work.
Yeah.
Boy, Herbal Magic would be pissed.
Yeah. I'd have a house infested myself. But no, you know what? it's just not what a lot of people think. This woman, I believe, had been kind of channeled at one point, because when I walked in, she wasn't expecting me. I had been dealing with the husband, because she would never let anyone in the house. The priest would go to the blessed house. She wouldn't let him in. She wouldn't let anybody who would try to help her in the house. So the husband dealt with me.
Was that her doing, or because something had taken her over and wouldn't allow anyone in the house?
Who knows? We don't know 100% for sure. We can only assume that. But I know that he dealt with me off the premises. This is, don't call me from the house. Just deal with me off the premises. And and he invited me in, and she had no idea I was coming. And when I walked in, she turned around, and when she saw me standing there, no word of life, woman hissed at me and went up against the wall, and why are you here? And I'm thinking, waiting for the head to spin. I was waiting for it. I was so sure. I'm like, my God, wow. And I just kept a smile on my face, and I won't say what I said, but I said it with a smile on my face. I tend to get a little cocky sometimes, but either way, but we fixed it, The first step with situations like that is always getting people to deal with their faith, whatever religious faith that they are. She was Catholic, so we got her to work with her church. The Catholic Church is hard to get them to come in and intervene at all, but they're always happy.
I've heard that.
Very hard. You know what? I always, when I go in to do a case, I always request that, psychiatric assessments get done, and find out if they're on any medications, things of that nature, and because I don't like to interfere with any of that. And in her case, it was bad enough the medications weren't working because she wasn't schizophrenic. And at that point, they actually gave permission to the husband to allow me to come in as long as it didn't interfere with their treatment, which of course it didn't, because I worked in conjunction with what they wanted. So we got her to work with her faith, and the priest will come in regularly and do blessings for the house and the family. And it's a lot of it is just changing the mindset, because in many cases you are victimized if you allow yourself to be victimized, and it's not always the case. But sometimes it's just giving that person a little bit of glimmer of hope, just enough where they actually want to fight back. Because when they start to fight back and take back their life and their home, it starts to make a difference. And that's what happened. She started fighting back. She started going to the church. It was strange. She'd run to the church and literally start doing laps around the church. And she'd go, she'd get a blessing, and then she'd go home. And this went on probably for, about a month. And then all of a sudden,
laps can help with weight loss too.
Oh, it did. She would lap the neighborhood too. So, I'm sure. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. I think we touched on that story too a little bit last time, but not quite as in detail.
You know what? There's been several. I don't know if that was one that we did or not, but I've worked on several cases, and a lot of times I really do believe a lot is in the mindset. In a lot of cases, people claim or they believe that they're haunted, and in a lot of cases they're not. But something is making them believe that they are. Therefore, you have to handle every situation and every person and family, and get to the core of what is leading them to believe that, what is putting them in distress. And that's basically how we do it.
You have to get to the root of it.
Absolutely. We don't just go in there and say, that you are.
Holy water, out you go.
No. We really work with the families. I'm literally on call 24/7 when I'm on one of those cases. They know they can call me any time of the day. And they do. I've gotten calls 2, 3 in the morning when things seem to peak for them. You just talk them down, and I've had people say, "I'm holding up the phone, make it stop." I'm like, excuse me, like, knock it off. I want to get some sleep. We all want to get some sleep here,
And it works.
It makes the person feel better. Does it work? I don't know. Maybe.
But it gives them back some control.
Yes. As long as the person feels in control, then they're feeling as though they can fight the fight, and whatever it is that's putting them in this place, all of a sudden you're changing that mindset, and you're feeding it with more positiveness, and they're coming out of it. They're coming out of it okay.
So for any of our viewers who are going through maybe possession or hauntings right now, Michelle's going to give you her home number.
Yeah, it's on the website.
Is it?
Oh
wow!
You know what? It's with me 24/7.
That's dedication.
24/7. It's there. Yeah, it's there.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's there.
You get a lot of calls.
Yeah, I do. I get.
And it could just be because you adjusted yourself. I'm just saying.
But remember, I'm one person. People, one person. So with a tight schedule. So.
Have you seen the movie Paranormal Activity?
Which one?
There's 1,
3
2, 3. I think there's 3.
I've seen 1 and 2. I haven't seen 3. Yeah, I get asked that a lot. Is that a real story? It's like, no.
Well, I haven't seen it. I'm just wondering how. So I can't really ask too many questions, but my question was more how much of that is Hollywood and how much of it was based on actual events.
Well, I can't say there was a whole lot of Hollywood. It was very low budget, the first one that came out. They did a really great job considering that the budget that they went in with.
So is this based on a true story?
No.
Because I honestly don't know anything about it.
What they've done, which I thought, I mean, my own personal opinion, I thought they did a pretty good job with, was the fact that they've taken the different stages of a demonic haunting from start to finish. But from start, agitating the Ouija board a little bit, and they show what happens when you do try to encourage communication, right? Mm-hmm. And they show the most extreme ending, and I'm talking, this
like
is the
worst
most
case scenario.
Yeah, even Exorcist, she didn't die. But
thank you.
Sorry.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
Well, okay, I guess I don't need to watch that.
I did it. You don't now. I'll tell you the whole thing. What do you want to know?
Well, before you tell me, I'm just might as well now. Just for those of you who are joining us, you are with the Ask Your Angels talk show. Tonight's special guest, Michelle DesRochers from Canada's Most Haunted, is back visiting us again. Thanks for coming.
You're welcome.
And Michelle does the Burlington Ghost Walk tours, Casa Loma Ghost Walk tours, and we are here tonight talking about paranormal activity. And in keeping with our theme, I just asked about the movie. What's it called?
Movie. Paranormal Activity.
Paranormal Activity. Oh my gosh.
You're okay.
It's the wine. It is. Okay. We're going to switch to water, right? Okay.
Are you?
Maybe.
Are you really? That's all right. Good for you.
I am.
You're a trooper.
Water. Nestle Pure Life.
Plug.
We don't have sponsors, but let's just pretend we do. Nestle Pure Life, brought to you by. Okay. I used to work for them.
Oh, did you?
So I might as well do that, don't you think?
Well, they're owned by Coke. No, actually, it's Dasani. They're owned by Pepsi.
No way. It's Nestle.
Nestle's owned by Nestle, biggest water company in the world.
Is it?
There you go.
Owned by Pepsi. There was. I saw a documentary, I think, on 60 Minutes.
All right, we're getting on
topic.
topic.
With Pepsi over the Nestle plant.
Is that paranormal? Is it?
Holy water.
You bring people on the show, you expect they're going to stick with the
holy
topic.
Water. I can make anything paranormal.
Well, then I'm blessed because I'm going to drink some. So, okay, so you were talking about paranormal activity.
Yeah, what it appears that they've done is they've taken the different stages of a demonic haunting from start to finish with the most extreme of endings.
Where apparently she dies.
Well, there are actually 2 endings if you watch the movie, which I'll say I've already got dibs on for the spoiler alert.
I'm actually not going to watch it because I hear it's just too scary, and I won't watch it with me, and I cannot watch it.
My husband went to the movies with me, and he kept leaning over and saying, "Can that really happen?" And I'd be like, "Yeah." He goes, "How about that?" No, I think that's a bit extreme. He goes, "Are you sure?" Pretty sure.
Was he hanging all over you on the way out of the theater?
He was just kind of like, okay.
We have somebody online that just says there's actually 3 endings to that movie.
Oh, is there?
3 endings.
Oh, on the DVD, then I've got to sit there and look through that again.
I told you we need to have a scary movie night.
Okay, we'll do it like a Chiquita night with scary movies. I'll bring them. I have them.
All right.
I have every
I told you Circle of Fear. Circle of Fear was a show when I was growing up that was on every week, and it was all ghost stories. Mm-hmm. And
scary ghost stories, or are they kind of like scary because you were young, or could you think they'd be scary today in today's standards?
Well, I watched one again. I
mean, you were scared, yeah.
It was outdated, but it was still scary.
Right.
It's still, they were pretty good.
Yeah.
Creepy.
No, I mean they're not like the blood and guts that you have. to have these days.
Like something where you have to think that leaves you thinking.
No, these don't do that.
They don't do that either. Darn.
They leave you thinking, should I keep the light on when I go to bed? That's about it. Okay, so Paranormal Activity, there's 3 endings. What exact, so it's from start to finish about, it's a demonic thing.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, without giving away the whole story to the people maybe who haven't seen it.
Oh.
I mean, if you
well,
haven't,
you did kind of already give away one of the endings, so.
There's 2 more. Be finicky. There's 2 more bloody endings. No, you know what? I mean, personally, I thought the first one was pretty good. Of course, now, bigger budgets is more effects, and people may argue with me, but I always think the first movie out of any series is the best, and then you should just leave it alone. That's just
it's
my
like
thought.
Jaws.
What do I know?
Jaws.
Yeah, how many
After
times can
Jaws,
you kill that shark?
Oh,
really?
Terrible.
Yeah,
really.
To the point, I visited. I was in Universal Studios. The thing was out of commission. I'm thinking, no wonder. How many times can you kill it? So. But yeah.
That's a classic movie. Have you ever seen The Uninvited?
I have.
That's with Ray Milland. This is really old.
Oh, I've seen the newer version.
Oh, no. See, that's what I mean.
Yeah,
this was an old black and white, it's called The Uninvited.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay, but if you can get your hands on the book, The Uninvited, scary.
Books are always
because you're using your imagination. That was one of the scariest books. I personally more scared with that than I was with The Shining. I didn't get The Shining. Everybody was scared of The Shining.
Really? I just couldn't stop.
Johnny,
I couldn't stop laughing through The Shining. I didn't. I laughed.
Now The Changeling, that was scary.
That was good. I really liked that old movie, actually.
What was your scariest movie you've ever seen? Haunted, spiritual, anything?
I've never seen anything that has scared me. But you know what? When I was back in the day, without giving it away, when I was probably about 16, centuries ago.
I was gonna say, were you wearing a petticoat?
Yeah. The movie The Evil Dead.
The Evil Dead.
It was actually voted one of the scariest movies ever. I'm thinking, really? But I remember watching that at the theater going, I don't want to go in the woods. It's the woods
Zombie
came alive.
movie?
No.
The Evil Dead, what was that about?
They went to this cottage, just a group of friends, they went into the woods to this cottage, and of course they find these old, witchcraft, black magic, incantation stuff. And of course people can't leave well enough alone. Take them out and start messing around.
Campbell.
There you go, see? That's good.
Oh, so someone out there has seen it.
Yes. There you go. It was
Who's
a great
Bruce Campbell?
show.
What else has he been in?
I couldn't tell you. They came out with part 2. I'm sure it was in that, but it totally blew compared to the
Evil
first one.
Dead. I'm going to look that up.
Look it up.
So it's not like blood and gore. It was a real scary. Because these days it's all blood and gore, right?
Coming up to the forest and stuff, and things are just coming out of the floors, and it wasn't gory, but it was creeped me out when I was 15. Enough to make I thought it was scary. I'm saying my daughter turned 15. You need to watch this movie.
That's what we'll do for our movie night.
Oh, my daughter said, she goes,
The Evil.
She goes, this is lame. How can you say that? I was terrified after watching this.
She said it was lame?
She did.
Okay, we won't do that for movie night.
Guess what?
What?
In 2013, they're coming out with a remake.
Of The Evil Dead?
I would see that, because I bet you it would be awesome with all the effects.
Who is this?
And
The Evil Dead is Bruce, this Bruce guy.
Bruce Lee?
No.
Campbell?
Bruce Campbell.
Right.
I've never heard of
Directed by Sam Raimi.
Yes, and see, he does great movies.
Ellen Sandweiss and Richard DeMancourt. It's a B movie, scary type thing.
Well, it worked for me. And I've seen some, pretty amazing stuff since, but the movie The Rite actually left me thinking, because it was based on a true story.
R-I-T-E.
Yes.
That's fairly new.
It is very new, and it was well done. It was based on the story of 2 priests.
Wasn't it Anthony Hopkins?
Of course.
Oh, any movie with Anthony Hopkins is great.
Well, he played
Anthony Hopkins, if you're watching, we love you.
We do. We play a very good possessed person.
Sir Anthony.
Yes.
Great.
And you know what? It was a fantastic movie, and it was another one of those that I like movies that make me think, because based on true stories, and because I have worked with demonic hauntings, I basically related to it, so I understand. I could definitely understand how he's going through the process of exorcisms and things of that nature, and then of course, they show, the center in Rome, because a few years back, maybe 3 years ago, they built an exorcism center in Rome to train new priests to do exorcisms, and they're still backed up about 3 years because there aren't enough priests. And they do worldwide, of course. You know what I mean? It's amazing that they're so backed up, because it was impossible to get involved into a case. You know.
Wow.
But the
She's
Catholics
the thought
got it
that
together,
there's-
boy. They know their stuff. So, you know. Yeah, and of course women aren't allowed, because I've had people say, you know, you'd be really good at that. You should go to the exorcism center. So maybe if I dress up as a man, let me in.
Do you have to be a man?
Yeah, you have to be a priest.
Still, eh?
Yeah, oh, I know.
Boy.
Because it sucks, because I could do it, you know.
What do you do to eliminate a ghost or spirit?
There's no guarantee that you can, you know.
But what are some things you can try?
We have found with some people who have had hauntings that we just automatic, because our schedule is tight. We can't run into, you know, a lot of places just on a whim. I have to divert a lot of stuff to people, colleagues who I trust in certain areas or cities that could get to them faster than I can. But one of the first things we tell people is just explain to them that they're dead and that you're not intentionally being rude, that you just cannot hear them, you cannot see them, you're not being rude by not responding to them. And by doing that, it's almost as though they've said, oh, I'm dead. Like we've had people call us back and say, you know what? Like things have settled right down. Now whether the spirits
just didn't realize?
Yeah, whether they moved on or whether they're just, well, okay, what's the point of talking to these people who can't hear me anyway? I'm just not going to keep... Because a lot of times spirits will do things just to try to get your attention. Not to be malicious.
Or maybe they just needed to know that you knew they were there.
Well,
and acknowledge them, maybe.
Yeah, there's many different theories. Like the woman who does the clearings on our behalf, I don't know how she does it, you know. Once I've been to a location, she claims that she can tap in through my energy to the places that I've been. And she clears them. I don't give her an address. She says, all I need is a street name and a city. Maybe she clears the whole street. I don't know. But she picks up on like
you
everything.
You must be in a very safe area.
I'm kind of secluded, you know. So
I know.
I'm easy to find.
Well, I researched the intranet just for a little fun. So, other theories: how to get rid of a ghost. Ask the ghost to help around the house. Giving the ghost chores will provide it with some responsibilities and teach the ghost a better work ethic. This may be all that is needed for some of those lazy ghosts to get moving. Stop providing free meals. Okay, as long as the ghost has free food in the fridge, there's no reason to leave. Ghosts are known for gobbling up food. Forcing your ghost to buy food will lessen its reason to stay. You may also ask your ghost to share other costs also, as they are known for turning on lights all the time and wasting your energy, right? Set ground rules. Most ghosts don't like the idea of having to be grounded. I know, these are lame. Stop pointing at me. I know. Okay, and write your ghost a letter in order to encourage it to become more independent and move out. It's all about respect for everyone involved. For some reason it starts, Dear Son, it should be useful for your ghost anyway. Help your ghost. Maybe your ghost has no direction. This will give your ghost the tools it needs to make it outside your home. Be careful though. There's a saying, you can't teach an old ghost new tricks. And encourage your ghost to get out more. If you are able to get your ghost into a relationship, it might be more likely to want to leave your house. Be especially careful that your ghost doesn't invite more ghosts to your house. That's it. That's all.
You just have to make sure you don't encourage him to have a relationship with the living.
Yeah.
That's happened too. Right?
Yeah. So. Hey, what does one ghost say to the other ghost?
Boo-hoo.
Do you believe in people?
Do you believe in people? Yeah.
I know, this is lame ghost joke night.
Okay.
Okay, well, I'm done. That's all I have.
All she wrote.
Well, I do have one story about a lady who lived in an apartment. She just moved into an apartment, and an ashtray flipped off her table. And she just thought maybe it was a strong breeze, didn't think much of it. A few days later, an ashtray flipped off her shelf onto the floor and smashed. And she was telling someone in the elevator about this, and they said that a girl had lived in the apartment and died in a fire as a result of a cigarette. Food for thought.
Yeah, well, you know what? That's very common in a lot of cases where, people will pick up on the characteristics of the spirits. Like we did one case where the man who passed away was a drunk, and then people in the house are always smelling like whiskey,
alcohol,
and things like that. Yeah, but then the men, all the men who lived in the house afterwards, would like take up drinking. Like they were taking on that characteristic.
Oh.
Yeah.
Whereas this story, obviously, she's trying to discourage smoking.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Whereas, well, see, that just goes to show you that women are more helpful than men. And that smoke is hazardous. Smoking is
so is whiskey.
hazardous to your health.
Yeah. They just try to keep killing each other and, whatever.
There you go.
Yes, yes, so.
So, the ghost tours that you're doing, what's coming up? Like, you're totally booked. Is there anything open that people can sign up for?
The last tour of this month will be not the 19th, the weekend after. What is that, the 26th or something like that? Yeah, that's going to be the last tour of the year. Private tours year-round. We do a lot of private tours no matter what time of the year.
And surprisingly for kids, too.
We actually do kids' parties. Our kids' parties are, like, really popular. We do all kinds of them. We offer different ones. We offer
like a
mini
birthday
tours.
party?
Yep. Yep.
So what would a typical child's birthday party be like?
Depends on what you want. We can do a mini tour where we can teach the kids kind of how to track ghosts. Patrick basically trained the kids on ghost trackers for season 1. So we kind of go through the same thing with them. We kind of suggest things that they should bring along, and we do a mini tour and we show them how to look for spirits. Kids have a blast. That's a real popular one. And then we have one where, we come to the house, we can bring some equipment, we bring voice recordings, photographs. It's more interactive, and it's more, I'll let the kids kind of play with the equipment a little bit, go tracking around the house, and teaching them that, ghosts don't have to be scary, that sometimes there is a scientific reason for why things are happening. And parents seem to like that, just the fact that...
Well, especially smaller kids, the whole monster under the bed.
Well, yeah.
Does it help with things like that?
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? We've also had kids just totally take an interest in science, history, after doing our events. I've had parents say, wow, all of a sudden, they want all this equipment, but they're really interested in how it works. So I'm thinking, well, that's good. So, yeah, the tours are super popular. The kids' programs are really popular. I do the kids' programs. Sometimes the schools will request me to come in at Casa Loma. So I'll do, like, a special event for, certain classes or schools.
I've never been there.
I've
never been there. It's
beautiful.
I've been. I drove by the outside though, and I was like, it's just so incredibly beautiful.
It is.
Even in England, no offense to anyone British out there, my whole family's British, but English castles. I went on tours when I was younger, and I don't think they're that beautiful.
But you have to understand too that they're very old. When you're looking at you live in Casa Loma, that's just roughly. Roughly 100 years old, if that.
So not quite as old.
No, and part of, you going to English, you're looking at something, 1,100 years old, 300-400 years, and they weren't as elaborate. Some of them were in the later years, but Casa Loma was done very lavishly, and it was never completed.
And landscaped, and it's just stunning.
Well, yeah, but you have to understand, the pellets, their biggest thing were their gardens. They had greenhouses, which you don't see now, just rows and rows and rows of greenhouses. She won awards for her gardens.
Do they keep the gardens up?
Yeah. Beautiful gardens. People have weddings there. They do photographs down in the Arboretum. It's just gorgeous.
Now, do you believe it's haunted?
Oh, well. Yeah. When we were asked back in 2009 if we would represent them paranormally, we're like, yeah, sure, of course. The castle is supposed to be haunted. It's a no-brainer. Yeah, count us in. And you know what? We weren't there. I liked their approach because it wasn't, we want you to prove that it is. It was like, you know what? Here it is. See what you find. Here are the stories. If you find something or if you can just prove it. They really just kind of put it out there, and we were given free rein of the place as far as being able just to research it the way we wanted to research it. And first night there, I mean, from the voice recordings, it gives up its audio more than anything.
A lot of voices.
A lot of voice recordings, but intelligent voice recordings. I mean, they will answer your questions. You know, I've so many Casaloma stories. I mean, they're endless, the amount of stories that we've had.
Share some stories.
We were testing some new equipment one night, and we were filming actually for to send some stuff to a producer. In I guess he was out west. He was looking to do some footage for a show he was doing. So we were doing filming, and we were sitting there in the tunnel, and all of a sudden there's a mist in front of us. But I mean, tunnels, I mean, you know, damp, dark.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can expect they're cold. You'd expect a certain degree of mist. It was in one section, and we could see it. When we put the night vision on it, we could see it coming at us, and it got really heavy around us and really, really cold. And one of my researchers just got grabbed in the shoulder like this. And it happened after I said, you know, reach out and touch somebody. Right, the old saying goes. And
so a ghost with a sense of humor.
Literally.
Or it thought you were talking to him.
Well, I was. Yeah, I said reach out, you know, touch someone.
Okay.
So grab one of our researchers by the shoulder. And when we played back the voice recording, it said run. And it came at the same time that all our cameras went down. We had one camera left. The Ovilus is just chirping off like crazy. The mist was right on top of us. And 2 of our cameras went down. We had one left, which was capturing this mist. And we played back the recording, and we could tell the spot we were at because we were complaining about the cameras going down. And we were talking about the mist, the Ovilus, and then all of a sudden it said, run in a whispering
So it wasn't
voice.
a friendly, was it a warning, or was it not, didn't want you there kind of thing?
We call him Mr. Happy, but just for the kids' sake, but he's pretty grumpy, really. We've had...
Do you know who he might have been?
We figured he was a stable employee, and he may even have, you know, worked in the mechanics garage. We've never been able to get a name out of him. The psychics that we work with have never really been able to peg him, but one of our researchers, the first night there, we had 2 of them in the mechanics garage, and nobody goes without a tape recorder anywhere, any place we investigate. So the voice came up on 2 different tape recorders. Obviously, we got more conversation out of the guy who was standing closest to the spirit, and then parts of it came up on the other recorder, which is kind of different to be able to have 2 recorders catch the same EVP. But basically, he had said, oh, he's a horrible person. And he was one of our psychics. And when they played back the one recording, it said, who's there, or who's that? And then Tyler says, oh, he's a horrible person. And he's saying this to Melissa, our researcher. And all of a sudden, you get a mimicking voice going, oh, he's a horrible person. Just like that. I'm thinking, oh, well, somebody's grumpy.
Oh, we have a question?
There's a question online somebody's asked, guest Halo, H-A-L-O, and they ask is it possible to be possessed while you sleep? And then it says, every night I go to sleep and I believe that a ghost or some being is pouring water on me.
Okay, well, there are different, again, theories when it comes to sleep. Like, some people will tell you it's like a sleep paralysis.
I've heard of that.
Yeah, you know,
where you can't move.
No, it's happened to me a couple of times. You know, and I open my eyes and I'm frozen. I cannot move. You know, and it's a scary thing because the 2 times it happened to me were both 2 times I was working on a really bad case. You know, and I could kind of feel something inside, and I just kept saying, there's not enough room in here for the 2 of us, so one of us has to leave, and I'm guessing it's going to be you. That was it. So I just kind of, you know, willed it and forced it out. But there are a lot of different, you know, situations where people claim once they get so far down
in the state of sleep.
Well, in the state of sleep, whether it is a spirit because spirits can drag you down into really sound sleeps. I mean, we had a case of a woman who was attacked for 20 years with a spirit man. I mean, she would wake up with bruises on her, and her husband would be laying in the bed right beside her, but so passed out as she would call his name, and I mean, she couldn't get him at all. I've seen cases, you know, one was a little boy, and the mom's like, I can't wake him up, and he wakes up like this normally. And I went to the house, and I looked at him, And he was like, you could pick this kid up and he would.
He was limp.
He was limp. So, you know, I just, you know, sat there and just sat with him for a bit and just kind of, you know, did my thing telepathically or speaking. And all of a sudden he opened his eyes, you know, and he just said, oh, what are you doing here? I'm like, I just came for a hug. What am I going to say? He's 5, right?
For the man who believes that he's having water poured on him every night,
well,
any idea what he should do?
You know, realistically, if this is happening all the time, I would definitely contact a group. I mean, first of all, are there any other things happening in the house, or is it just this one thing? But either way, if this is ongoing and it's definitely disturbing you, either contact, you know, a psychic that can work with you, that can maybe communicate with what's there, if that's what he firmly believes, or bring in a group. I mean, I'm happy to find out where he's from. I'm happy to refer him to someone.
Do we know where he's from?
He's got a few more responses here. It says the water smells bad too, like urine. Could a ghost be pouring urine on me in my bed?
Or peeing on you?
Well, malevolent like entities are said to be affiliated with very foul smells, such as urine, you know, feces, sulfur, rotten eggs, garbage, that kind of thing. If it's something that persists, yeah, definitely look at working with somebody who can go in there and try to investigate what's going on, for sure.
Where's he located? Do we know?
Yeah. Well, he can always email. I'm always happy to you know, figure out somebody in the area.
Michelle can redirect someone to you.
Down in Georgia.
I know people down there, so that's not a problem. I work with groups all over Canada, the U.S., and the U.K., so yeah.
You can find Michelle on www.canada's burlingtonghostwalks.ca. Yes. Okay.
Perfect. Can I just give Patrick a quick text and see if he would like to call in?
Yes.
And give us a little bit of insight.
It's going to take a sec for a minute.
You'll never guess what you got us in the middle of. Christine's in the middle of doing your show. So
and we can hear you, tech guy.
She's on air right now. How do you like that? So, you're still home?
We can hear you. Okay. All right. So, did you reach Patrick?
I texted him.
Maybe you can tell everyone about Patrick.
Patrick is our co-director, and he basically founded Burlington Ghost Walks. In 2001 is when the doors opened, but Burlington Ghost Walks spent an entire year, from 2000 to 2001, researching the history of the area, researching all the stories that we were getting, you know, from residents and store owners. So, with that said, of course, you know, validating a lot of what he was hearing. And when he opened his doors in 2001, he was sharing a lot of the stories and the history and the folklore, you know, of Burlington, which was kind of neat because, you know, with that said, everything that you're hearing is a lot of it's stories that have been passed down for a long time.
He's very knowledgeable.
Absolutely.
That might be Patrick. Patrick might be trying to call in, but our phone's tied up. Hopefully, and if you're trying to chat, Tech Guy is answering a call that's not associated with the show. So I'm sorry, I apologize. He will be back in a second. So what else can you tell us about Burlington Ghost Walks?
Well, like I said, we're finishing up our 10th year. We're going to be working on a new tour for 2012. We're going to be adding a tour to commemorate 200 years of the War of 1812. So
I'm sorry, our cat is pulling at our wires. If we're suddenly disconnected, we've lost our tech guy, our cat's playing with the equipment. It's, yeah.
There you go. There's something you can bat around and play with.
It's always good to throw my cat something that big that he can choke on.
It's
awesome.
I have a feeling it.
Oh my gosh, you believe this? Okay. I'm sorry, I apologize. We have a little bit of a technical difficulty here. Our cat, which you may have met last week on our show, is playing with our equipment. Okay. So, is our phone line free if Patrick would like to call in?
Yeah, that was it.
Okay.
That's why I ran upstairs.
All right.
Yes, they are free.
Okay. Did we have another question from the gentleman with who was having water poured on him? Did that help at all? You can reach Michelle. She knows somebody in Georgia who can help you out. Yep.
Yeah.
That says
We
hi,
did.
great, that's it.
Okay.
Well, this way here, at least you can get a different perspective on it and see if there really is, something going on. Put his mind at ease a little bit.
I don't think Patrick's calling in.
I think so.
I think he fell asleep. There you go.
Yes, let's see.
So, what else can you tell us? So you've done a lot of TV shows. What type of things have you done recently? If you're allowed to talk about it.
Yeah, some of it hasn't quite come out yet, so I can't really. Is that Patrick? Maybe just.
I don't know. You're buzzing.
I'm buzzing. Okay, I just didn't know how the message came on.
Mind you, I've been out with Michelle, and this thing buzzes about every 2 seconds. She's the busiest girl I know.
Okay. Well, he said the message came on, so maybe it was on the phone. So I just said try again.
Okay, yeah. So Patrick might be calling in. For those of you just joined us, you are with the Ask Your Angels talk show.
There we go.
You can check out our website, www.askyourangels.ca. And we have a call, hopefully this time for the show. And
Patrick, I'll put you on there.
and it's Patrick.
Awesome.
Hi,
Hello.
Patrick. Patrick, speaker would be good. Hi, Patrick.
Hi, how's it?
Can
I can hardly hear you.
you can hardly hear us?
Like a man stand or something.
There we go.
Can you hear us now?
Sure.
Okay. Talk to Patrick.
What are you doing?
Well, you won't believe this. When you send me a text, I spilled my beer all over the table. That's not good.
No, that's a
Maybe he
waste.
was asleep.
Maybe. Yeah, did we startle
I
you?
was asleep. It was just here, but maybe the angels did. I don't know.
No, we're yanking your chain.
Now, I just want to check for a sec. Can our viewers hear Patrick clearly? We get some feedback on that? Yes?
Keep talking.
Okay.
Hello. Yeah.
Yeah, we're good. Okay, so why don't you tell everybody about founding Burlington Ghost Walks, what you had to do to basically found the company. What did you have to do to prepare for the tours?
As for donations? No, that's one of the first things. No. It all started really with Emma's Back Porch in Burlington when I met up with Craig Kowalczyk and Kellen Johnson at the time, and they invited me over to check out the hauntings at Emma's Back Porch, which is a restaurant bar by the lake in Burlington, and from there I did some investigation with CTV, people who we called in to get some media on it. At the time, I wasn't really doing anything with tours. I was more investigations and research, working with John R. Colombo, and writing books. And after we researched it, found a lot of the activity was very active at the Emma's Back Porch and Water Street Cooker. From there, it just went really big and had the whole community almost jumping in with reports of ghost activities. So I started researching everything for at least a couple of months, and just everybody wanted to be on board to be a part of the thing that nobody was really doing at the time, doing ghost walk tours. And that's really, from there, went from one place to another place and to another place, and got the approval from the city of Burlington. And got a lot of folklore and stories from many people and residents all over Burlington to develop a tour around it.
So, Patrick, when I came on the tour, for people that are close to Burlington, you showed us a vortex. Remember downtown?
Right.
Can you tell the viewers about? Pardon me?
Did you jump in?
I did. I actually didn't. I didn't feel anything, but I was also soaking wet and a little bit off that night. But can you tell our viewers about the vortex in case they want to? If they're nearby, they can go down and check it out.
Well, vortexes can be anywhere. It can be pockets of time. It can actually represent areas where you can enter another time zone. You can actually enter another dimension. But generally, essentially it's based on a ley line, and ley lines can run miles, hundreds of miles, tons of feet across. They're in Peru, they're in South America. There's even a ley line that goes all the way to Stonehenge in London, England, from the town of Ludgate. So the vortex there is basically on that ley line, and what it does is it is highly concentrated areas of electromagnetic field energy that causes things to happen and to open up and to close, and people are drawn into it, and they see it, and they can. We've been getting some really good results photo-wise to document it.
Now, can this be compared to a black hole, or like the Bermuda Triangle? Is that a vortex? Where things disappear?
That's a good question. Bermuda Triangle is totally different because it's based on the off-axis of electromagnetic energy. So most of vortexes really give out power energy, and the black holes and the things like Bermuda Triangle suck in energy. So it's really reversed magnetic polarities, and that's what's causing that to happen in that region and many other regions where people would experience, like there's a Canadian triangle, there's a Lake Erie triangle. All the Great Lakes have almost like a black hole sucking things in. So the real vortexes are made for energy to go in and out. So if it was sucking it in, they wouldn't be able to come out.
Okay, I didn't see that's great information. I've only ever heard of the Bermuda Triangle. So, and I know it's a little bit off topic, but what's your theory about energy being sucked in? Do you think this is why aircrafts and boats and things disappear?
Well, it's all part of time shifts and energy shifts. So people who are psychic, who are very in tune to that, you might yourself experience time shifts or energy shifts. So if you wake up sometime and you feel weird, or 10 minutes later or earlier, you get a time shift, or you feel like you've stepped into another dimension briefly and stepped out. It's like stepping into a shower again and stepping out. And a lot of times people experience them more where you feel like you're standing on a 45-degree angle, the whole house is shifted sideways, or almost like on a 45-degree angle, falling down. And people have actually said they've experienced falling down from their bed and sliding off the floor all the way to the door. So those are kind of like, strange but bizarre, but they are time shift energy shifts as well.
Mm-hmm. I wonder if I've had something like that where I've just told myself my equilibrium was off, but everything just sort of, that's what it is.
I mean, we're off balance, right? Or you're supposed to be balanced. If you're off balance, you feel the energy shift change. So
a lot of people say I'm off balance.
Ideally, you're supposed to be in perfect balance with your chi, right?
Right.
Michelle will tell you that too. And if you're not, then you will most of the time get a lot of headaches or migraines, or your body's telling you that. That's a warning sign that your energy level's off.
Oh, okay. So what else would you like to share with us? Anything?
I'm interested in that whole thing with time shifts and dimensions of vortex, and I think that's one of them in Burlington, a vortex. I kind of like the whole theory where I find funeral parlors really fascinating because there's so much energy around when you ever go to there, and I mean not that you want to, but if you've ever been to funeral places and experienced the amount of energy that goes on when people are having funerals, there's all these other joint forces or ghosts or angels, and maybe angels are coming around to comfort the dead, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, here's a question. How would you feel about in the new year coming on our show and talking about vortexes and things like that?
Yeah, sure. I'm also doing some things now called parascience. And again, that's part of strange occurrences, meaning a lot of things went into this in the 70s and early 80s where there was a show called One Step Beyond, if you recall, by Fox. And we're investigating things or things out of the unordinary, meaning human combustion, and that kind of thing, instantaneous combustion, and all these things. And it's weird because all this was big in the 70s and 80s, and now you don't hear of it anymore. You don't hear somebody blowing up or burning up all half away, and there's nothing else there. So is it a change in diet, or is it just things that people have, trimmed themselves in a way that they don't hear about as, herbal magic or something?
You were talking about.
I'm kind of really interested in that theory, and of course it still doesn't exist. So and even animals were like dying and blowing up internally for no reason at all.
See, and I've never heard of that. I'm sure a lot of other viewers haven't. That would be a interesting topic.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah.
People that blow up.
Well, internally, it's a form of human combustion, but again, it's big in the 60s and 70s that you hear of all these cases, especially in Texas and different places in New York, and especially they all found that all places had paranormal experiences before they actually were instantaneously combusted.
Wow. So, well, I think you should come on the show and talk to us about that, because that's definitely something we have not covered yet.
It's a whole new topic. It's something kind of like the fringe thing, but again, these interdimensional vortexes that are around us every day. I've had quite a few experiences walking into different dimensions and places where there was that timepiece was there, and you could hear it. Like when I was investigating the old Royal Canadian Legion several years ago, was haunted originally. It was used originally by gangsters for a hideout, and we actually heard you could literally go into another room at certain times of the day, and you hear it's all carpeted. So then you hear actual floor, solid floor, brick walls, everything. All this was going on, and guys definitely talking, the gangster thing, and who's they're going to hit, and all that stuff, and all the slang that goes with it, and the windows were opening. It was just amazing stuff. You're in another dimension, and then you can see that whole timepiece. The different curtains they had, and the music was playing as of the 40s. It was just bizarre. And then you walk out of the room again, and you wouldn't see it. So I've got recordings of that, which is really cool.
Now, is that from, we were talking earlier about imprints, is that an imprint thing, or is that actually another dimension?
Well, the weird part was, I think it was intelligent. It wasn't really, it was part residual and part real, because we walked in, and the guy that was getting knocked off, he was, trying to save his life, right? He was begging for his life, saying before this guy killed him, because he had the money somewhere. He was talking to me and noticed me there, and was saying, do something, right? And these guys just, they recognized me talking, but I don't know if I looked in their period clothing or what. I don't know. Maybe I looked like something Malone or something else. But it was weird, because it was a whole intelligence thing, and he heard all the conversations going on, and he was talking back and forth.
Wow, that's incredible. I'd love to experience something like that.
Yeah, I got the whole recording too. It was like a whole 25 minutes of it. And the guy, it was just interacting with him, and then he walked out of the room and it disappeared. He walked back in, it was normal as anything, like the Royal Canadian Legion again.
Wow, and what about war veterans? Do they show up too? Because, it's the Legion.
People had, they closed it down now. They actually just demolished that one in Mimico in Toronto. But people would say the war veterans would show up, and people would be downstairs drinking at the restaurant or the bar, and these guys would show up all decorated up, and definitely from another time, and talking away and joining in the conversation.
Wow. Well,
that's pretty interesting.
That pretty well proves that there are definitely ghosts out there. Don't you think?
Yeah. You know what? I think it still comes down to a matter of there's always going to be people out there
that don't
disputing it. There's never going to be definitive.
No.
I won't say there's never going to be.
It's a belief system.
It'd be nice to think one day that there will be definitive proof. But in the meantime, I think half the fun is just trying to figure it out. meeting new people who are like-minded, sharing ideas, bouncing different theories off your colleagues and just off enthusiasts. You know, there's more and more people taking an interest. I think, too, because it's not so taboo to talk about ghosts like it used to be.
It used to be.
For sure. So now people aren't afraid to talk about it. If there's a problem and they feel they're having a haunting or having had personal experiences, they're talking about it. What I find is interesting is I've done events at old age homes and things like that, and I did one for Halloween at the Wellness Center here in Burlington, and I had more elderly people who never would have at one time talked about this unless you were from that kind of a family. Like I come from a paranormal family. My grandparents were really open about talking about that, but most people were not, and it's so fun to have elderly people coming up to me with these great stories. And they're opening up about it, and they're sharing the stories, and they're sharing their knowledge of the history and things like that. You know what I mean? Like they're really into it. And I think as long as that happens, it'll be progress for those of us who are trying to look for the answers. And technology, I mean, you know, people are devising different ways all the time. You know, you get some real stickler, you know, researchers, and you know, a lot of times they're just the select few, and they're like, well, all you need is a pen and a paper, good old common sense. Sure, that's absolutely true, but you know what? Don't be afraid to try new things. Don't be afraid just to experiment with different equipment. You may get the answers, you may not get the answers, but the point is at least you're trying to get the answers, and that's what it's about.
It's being open and just observing and
absolutely
trusting your instincts.
And
like
not being
intuition.
afraid to trust your instinct.
Exactly.
You know,
it's easier, like you said, because society's more accepting now.
Yeah.
And you know, you go on Twitter. The I couldn't believe. I went on Twitter today looking at paranormal. Paranormal. There's so many paranormal researchers out there. It's unbelievable.
Well, with social media,
all over the world.
Absolutely. You know what? With social media, what's great about it, like Facebook, MySpace, Twitter, is that enthusiasts are getting together. Because you know what? I always tell people, you know, they always say, well, how do I get into this? You know, and I used to say, you know, try to find a group, an established group in your area, you know, to bring you on board. And then I started finding out that groups don't want to take on a lot of new people because you're falling into confidentiality situations, dealing, you know, with private cases. You're training people, and a lot of them don't want to go there. And
so
now
it's better to start your own.
You know what? A lot of people are not left. They're left without any option but to start their own. And you know, social media allows you to do that. It allows enthusiasts to come together and maybe get together just you know, as groups. Maybe they're doing it just for fun, and then there's some who really want to try to do it seriously. It's just a matter of always realizing that, you know, seriously investigating something is beyond just a camera and a voice recorder. And when somebody brings you into their home for help, you know, it's not just a matter of taking pictures and getting voice recordings and finding the evidence for yourself, and sure to share with the family, but go the extra step now. You get to leave. They don't. They're still there in that situation. And when you go in and encourage communication or start stirring things up, and I demand you do this and that, sometimes making things worse because some people don't have the experience, you know, or they just feel like being aggressive with the spirit is going to get them a better reaction. I don't know, but you have to remember to go the extra step to do what you've been asked to come in to do. Help. Right.
Oh, we have a question.
Somebody online has asked a question, and it says, can ghosts travel through ceilings? And then there's another comment here. I heard that spreading a layer of jello on the ceiling keeps them out, especially grape jello.
Like my grape wine?
No. Before we answer that, I just want to thank Patrick for calling in tonight. Thanks so much. And we'll definitely talk to you about coming on the show in the new year, okay?
Great, thank you very much.
Thanks. Have a great night. And
you.
enjoy your beer. Don't spill it.
Always something does, not me. Else does. All right, great, thanks.
Bye, Patrick. So, grape jelly? You want to take
I
that
have to say, I've never heard that theory. But can they travel through ceilings? I imagine they're no longer bound by the physical, so they could travel in any way that they choose to. I mean, if they can, kind of float around from one room to the other, or however it is they do it. I don't imagine ceilings are off limit. But as far as the jelly theory, that's definitely something that I wouldn't mind exploring more. I love grape jelly.
Jessica says, I'm spending all my money on Jell-O.
Jell-O.
Grape Jell-O.
Yeah. Oh. Okay. It isn't just for kids. Okay. So we had this question a while back. Like for myself, when I start getting into that theta state, just, before you're asleep, but you're super relaxed, I see three-dimensional objects always around the ceiling area. And someone had once told me that the spiritual plane, there's another plane that, say, is above you. So the spirits on that plane are ground level, but because the level is above us, we see them as floating in the air or in the ceiling.
Theories again, they say that there's 7 different levels on the other side. They say,
I've heard even more.
Yeah, like 9.
I've heard like the last person I talked to was like going on about like hundreds, like just.
Oh, who knows? I always say to people, let you know when I get there, and even then it takes you probably a while to work it out. But the thing is that, when spirits look like they're floating, they say the next dimension or the next level starts at about 3 feet above our own, which looks why it looks like that they're floating.
And that's
so
what I've
could
heard.
It just be, going up again closer to the ceiling? Yeah, I don't doubt that there isn't. I don't want to ever be arrogant enough to think, because so many people, so many skeptics, and people just saying, "Oh, absolutely not." You know what? Like, there's so much that we don't know. We don't even use our entire brain, for God's sakes. Don't think for a minute you have the answers, to what's out there. You don't have the answers.
It's like the world was flat. Well, no, it's not.
No, exactly.
We're always evolving. We're always learning more as we go.
But keep an open mind. I work with a lot of skeptical people, and I've met some amazing, skeptic minds. But you know what? What I like about most of them is they're at least open-minded. They're willing to at least accept there's the possibility. Yeah. It's when you meet these diehards that are absolutely believe in nothing. It's like, you know what? That's great. It's a great way to exist if that's your thing. But, don't be arrogant enough to think that the possibilities aren't there. Because I really think that's what it comes down to.
Do you think there's a possibility in regards to Jell-O, though?
The nice one. You start licking Jell-O off the ceiling.
I don't know. I wouldn't want to clean Jell-O off the ceiling.
No, true enough.
I've never heard that. Just in case you're just joining us, you're with the Ask Your Angels talk show. We're talking about paranormal activity. We're with Michelle DeRoche from Canada's Most Haunted and Burlington Ghost Walks. If you would like to share a supernatural or paranormal experience, we welcome you to call us at 1-855-276-1717 extension 4. And it should be up on your screen. You can, if you're shy and you don't want to phone in, you can chat it in. That's a lot of typing perhaps, but we'd love to hear from you. I'm just going to grab that. I get very emotional during the show. I think it's something in the air down here. Every show.
Oh.
So, what else would you like to share until our viewers call? I'm sure we have some questions out there. Allison. Okay.
Don't be shy. Don't be shy. Maybe you could.
The phone doesn't work?
We just
try again. We had a caller that was on for quite some time, so give us another call.
Yeah, maybe people out there have, their own theories, or they have their own techniques of paranormal research that they want to share, because
or if they've been out on a ghost tour somewhere else, a tour, or a haunted house you'd like to tell us about.
Yeah, because sometimes people don't realize.
Jokes. Michelle loves ghost jokes.
Cheesier the better. No, because sometimes, people will get like a manic photograph. They'll get like a really amazing photo, or they'll get a piece of evidence, and they hoard it. And you're thinking, oh my goodness, you know, you have to understand that evidence is worth very little if somebody can't learn from it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you capture something, you can take it, tuck it away into a drawer, but that's the most that's you know, it's going to happen to it. I mean, I've sent a lot of my voice recordings stateside, you know, to an EVP school for people just to learn, because they would teach people very inexpensively, like for donations to keep the site up or free, on how to filter and work and clean up EVPs. So for their students, I would send in voice recordings and say, here you go, you know, here's something for you guys to pick apart and play with or whatever. Because everyone who came before us never shared their theories, their evidence, their thoughts. Where would we be? We would still be in the dark ages with all of this. Like, it's meant to be shared. It's meant to be discussed.
Which is why we're here.
Which is why we're here, yeah. And I think it's great. It's worth nothing, if anything, you know, if somebody can't learn from it. You know, I work with a lot of kids, even on school projects. I get, you know, kids who want to do school projects on ghosts. And I've sent off photographs, voice recordings, clips from different shows, and saying, here you go, you know, try this one. And
oh, they must love that.
Oh, yeah, you know, but that's what it's about. It's like the next generation. It's like it's there to be utilized.
Indigo rainbow children.
Yeah, well, especially, they're the hungry ones, too, you know.
Mm-hmm. They're hungry for knowledge.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, having, you know, well, especially my daughter, I mean, she's definitely a seer, and she's always that way, you know. One of my sons, always the questions, all the time. And you know what, like, again, the internet is a wealth of knowledge, thank God. But
what did we do before the internet? I know.
The
I grew up
library,
doing my school projects with National Geographic.
Yeah.
Oh, that was bad.
Yeah.
I did. That was my library.
Better, right? Yeah, you didn't know any better.
No, can you imagine though, if when we were kids, if we'd had the internet?
Oh, I know. Just imagine.
Like, just think of the evolution. Just think about how much smarter we would be. I would think naturally.
Well, we say that, and
because
I
there's
think
so
in
much
some
knowledge
cases,
there.
Games and everything else. I mean, more people spend their time playing games than they do reading.
And
you know,
that's
true too.
The internet is not always 100% accurate.
Exactly.
Because it's not filtered.
Exactly. People could just put on whatever they want.
So now you've got a generation that believes that everything on the internet is real, or is skeptical about everything on the internet.
Yeah, good point. That's
well,
exactly
here,
it.
on a serious note, why do they associate the word boo with ghost?
I know.
Didn't see that coming.
No,
there was a whole discussion about it on the internet, and it came down to, I think one guy's suggestion was something like, they associate boo with an owl who goes hoo-hoo and scares you.
Right.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I think the Latin word for owl starts with a B.
Mm-hmm.
This is how he's connecting it all. So really that's where boo came from. Scary owls. This is what we call fillers because our audience doesn't call in or chat with us. So unless you do, you're going to get lame jokes. I mean,
but you know, in all fairness too, I mean, there's a lot of great stuff on the internet, and there's a lot of stuff that, you know, people just doctor things up and put things up there. I mean, some of it's entertaining. You know, television is the same. I mean, media really portrays, I think, hauntings and ghosts.
Oh, we have a question?
Question online. This is a weird one. It's if a psychic can see energy/electricity, what are they called? I'm borderline psychic, and it happens every so often.
So what's the question?
If a psychic can see electricity or energy, what are they called?
I would say intuitive.
Agreed.
Mm-hmm.
Because psychics and mediums both read very, very differently, and people who are sensitive or intuitive, you know, we will sense things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sense energies. And then you have those who are clairaudient, who could hear, clairvoyant, who could see, clairsentient, who can sense. I mean,
I have all of those.
There you go. Sorry.
Then
Got
they
your back.
proceed to say, makes finding plugs in a new house
Got your back.
Pardon me?
makes finding plugs in a new house easy.
There you go. That would be very useful.
I see it as a blue light.
That is very, blue light is, green light is healing, blue light is, I see blue light all the time. What does that represent? I think blue light, you see it as a blue light energy. That could be, I think it's Archangel Michael.
Interesting. So he's leading you to your light sockets.
That's Reiki.
No. It's, if you're very intuitive, if you're psychic. Like for myself, I associate what I see and feel with angels. And when I see the blue light, I associate that with Archangel Michael.
Well, because it's soothing. Blue is a soothing, calming, color. And when you see blue in your mind's eye, that calms you.
Because if you saw a lot of green, then I would say I associate that with Archangel Raphael, because he's a healer, and that comes across as green.
There you go.
So, that's a great question.
Yeah, absolutely.
But can you tap into it, to save yourself with electricity? I'm just saying.
Yeah.
That would be a helpful thing to have.
Yeah.
I got another one here. It's guy's name's Bacon Airplanes.
Bacon?
Bacon Airplanes.
Bacon. B-A-C-O-N?
Yeah, my belief, my neighbor's house, I believe, is built on a caveman burial ground and may be haunted. Should it be dug up?
No.
Hold it. Caveman burial ground.
Yeah, no.
Why do you feel it's a cave? Because you hear Indian burial ground. Why do you think caveman? Have you seen anything? Like, what makes you think it's a caveman burial ground? And I'm not saying it's not. I'm just interested. Like, what have you seen?
Oh, he says, I've been arrested 3 times for trying to dig it up.
Don't dig it up.
There's in there too.
Don't dig it up.
Don't do it.
Well,
no.
Can you not? Caveman, though. I mean, are you serious about the caveman part, or just you think there's something buried there? Because caveman, you wouldn't even be able to go to town to find records as to what was there before.
And you know what? People have to realize too, when there are burial grounds or when you come across, things like that, even renovating,
right?
Yeah, you have to leave things alone. It stirs up energy. I mean, some believe even, with the native people, that if you plant a tree and if you give life and add life to the property because they're so respectful of nature, that it will calm the energy, because you're basically, instilling something. Instead of taking from the land, you're giving back to the land. So to be disrupting things and changing things, it's always a bad idea. At least, with ghostly happenings and paranormal, it's good just to leave things alone and respect it and leave it as is.
Was it Poltergeist? What was the movie where the neighborhood was on an Indian burial ground?
Poltergeist,
and didn't they end up building a pool or something?
No, they built a subdivision.
And all these bones were floating around. And
that was
over a
graveyard. Yeah, we actually did a case where
but they were mad because
the
houses were on the burial
Exactly.
ground. So maybe what he's saying is he thinks the house is haunted or unhappy.
Because it's there, yeah.
Because it's on top of.
Yeah. Well, obviously you can't take down the house. So what I'm saying, in native, at least, belief is that give something back to the land to create life. So plant a tree or a garden. I know,
Now, it's not your house. If you're out there planting a tree, chances are you will be arrested
Ask the neighbor first.
Give them a tree as a gift. Say, I am sorry, I've been digging up your lawn. Here's a gift.
Yeah, or a garden, anything. Just do something. They have what are called ghost gardens, actually, where you can do like bay trees and lilacs and lilies. Lilies apparently are said, to repel ghosts. So you can do an actual ghost garden, which are apparently supposed to keep spirits at bay.
They repel ghosts.
Yeah,
my mom hates lilies. She said they remind her of death. So really, she's letting all the ghosts in.
Maybe.
She let her know.
I don't know. I read that once and I kind of thought, well, that's really interesting. Again, people...
the fragrance of lilacs they don't like? Because they're very fragrant.
Yeah, maybe.
I love lilacs.
It's the lilies that really apparently repel the most, though. And bay trees, because bay leaves, right?
Oh.
It goes back to biblical times. So... yeah, so again, theories, but...
so he could really go out there and sprinkle bay leaves all around their house. They wouldn't see it.
Sea salt, yeah.
There you go.
Different things.
Try that.
Cedar chips, Do some landscaping. Get a bag of potato chips. Plant a tree. You know.
They won't think you're crazy at this point.
No, you're apologizing for trying to
What's
dig up
he doing
property.
now? Now he's
Landscaping. More appreciated than digging the place up, so.
I guess.
For sure.
So, are you sure that wasn't Patrick? Was it after he had the beer? Well, I'm going to go.
I'm going to go dig up the neighbor's lawn.
Do we have another question? No? Okay. For those of you who are joining us, we are getting towards the end of our show. You are with www.askyourangels.ca. We're with Michelle DeRoche from Canada's Most Haunted, Burlington Ghost Walks. You can reach Michelle at, let's see your website,
www.burlingtonghostwalks.ca.
And thank you so much for coming in tonight.
Thanks for having me. I always have a good time.
I know, it was great. And no tornado this time.
I kept it away.
Wow. Last time Michelle was here, the lights were flickering, the power was going off. We had a tornado touchdown between Burlington and Cambridge. And we were down in the basement and didn't know what was going on upstairs. So it was pretty scary.
It was scary. I had quite the lightning show going on.
I know, but hey, the show must go on.
Right? Good times, good times.
So thanks for joining us. And next week we have Melanie coming on, who's going to talk to us about everything about yoga and its healing effects. We're also going to have Carrie come on the week after. And Carrie's going to talk about all different aspects of Reiki. So hope you can join us. 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Make sure you register so that you get your reminder. And we'll see you next week. Bye. You still have wine left, really?
I do. I was just nursing it, getting me through.